Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going on a journey into the 3-pound universe that's sitting right between your ears, the human brain. And you know, our story doesn't start with some high-tech microscope. It starts with a very strange idea.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think the bumps on your head could actually reveal your personality? I mean, could someone just feel your skull and know if you're courageous or kind, or maybe a secret musical genius? It sounds completely absurd to us now, right? But for a while, this was actually thought to be cutting-edge science.
And this all came from a German physician named Franz Joseph Gall. Back in the early 1800s, he came up with a science he called phrenology. And believe it or not, it totally took the world by storm.
Gall genuinely believed that just by running his fingers over someone's skull, he could map out their entire personality. Now, let's be clear. Phrenology was dead wrong. It was eventually and correctly dismissed as total pseudoscience. But here's the twist. In his quest to map the skull, Gall accidentally stumbled onto a revolutionary idea about the brain itself.
So yeah, he was wrong about the bumps, but he was 100% right about a huge foundational concept, that different parts of the brain control specific jobs. This idea, which we now call the localization of function, became the very bedrock of modern neuroscience. And the most dramatic, unforgettable proof came from a truly shocking accident.
This brings us to the absolutely wild story of a man named Phineas Gage. His case gave us the first, kind of grisly proof that our personality, who we are, is physically located in the tissue of our brain.
Okay, so picture this. It's 1848, and Gage is a railroad foreman. One day, a freak explosion sends the 3-foot-long iron rod shooting up through his cheek and right out the top of his skull. And here's the crazy part. He survived. But the Phineas Gage his friends all knew and loved, this mild-mannered, friendly guy, he was just gone. In his place was someone surly, mean-spirited, and foul-mouthed.
His friends really said it best. They said Gage was no longer Gage. The physical damage to his brain, specifically to his frontal lobe, had literally rewritten his personality. It was undeniable proof of the link between the physical brain and our abstract sense of self.
So, how is this incredibly complex organ even organized? Well, the best way to think about it, and this is a really cool analogy, is to imagine the brain as a set of Russian nesting dolls. You have newer, more complicated systems built right on top of older, more basic ones. Just like with those dolls, the parts deep inside our brain are the oldest, evolutionarily speaking. They handle our most basic survival stuff. Then, as you move outward to the next doll, you find newer systems that are responsible for more complex things, like our emotions and our ability to reason. Right at the very core, the smallest doll, is our old brain, our inner reptile, if you will. It all starts with the brainstem, connecting everything to the spinal cord. Right on top of it, you've got the medulla. It's the autopilot for your heartbeat and breathing. Then there's the pons, which helps coordinate movement, and tucked behind all of that is the cerebellum, which literally means little brain. It's key for balance and voluntary movement, which is exactly why you feel tipsy when you've had too much to drink. Yep, that's your cerebellum taking a little vacation.
All right, let's open up to the next doll. This is the limbic system, basically our emotional headquarters. In here, you've got the amygdala, 2 little lima bean-sized clusters that process fear and aggression. If you stimulate one spot, you can make a calm animal suddenly ferocious. Right nearby is the hypothalamus. That's your reward center. It's so powerful that scientists found lab rats who would press a lever to stimulate it over and over until they literally collapsed from exhaustion. And finally, there's the hippocampus, which is absolutely vital for learning and making new memories. So now we get to the final outermost doll, the cerebrum. And its surface, this thin, wrinkly layer of interconnected brain cells, is called the cerebral cortex. This is our thinking cap, the most recently evolved and most advanced part of our brain. This cortex is split into 4 main sections, or lobes, and each one has a specialty. You've got the frontal lobes right up front for planning and personality. Remember Phineas Gage? That's what he damaged. Behind that are the parietal lobes, which handle your sense of touch. In the back,
The occipital lobes take care of vision, and on the sides, the temporal lobes process sound. It's just this incredible, intricate division of labor.
The cerebrum is also split down the middle into a left and a right hemisphere. Now, I'm sure you've heard people being called left-brained or right-brained. And while it's true that some jobs are handled more by one side, that whole idea is a massive oversimplification. The reality is, the two halves are in constant, deep communication with each other. They're a team.
Which actually brings us perfectly to some popular myths about the brain. You know, pop psychology loves to simplify the brain's beautiful complexity, but in doing so, it often gets things completely and totally wrong. So let's go ahead and debunk two of the biggest ones out there.
Oh, you've definitely heard this one before. We only use 10% of our brains, right? Just imagine what we could do if we could just unlock that other 90%. It's a really exciting thought. It's also 100% false. Here's the deal. Your brain only makes up about 2% of your body's weight, but, and this is a big but, it hogs a whopping 20% of your body's energy. Evolution is just not going to waste that much fuel on an organ that's 90% dormant. And besides, modern brain scans confirm it. Pretty much every part of your brain is active even when you're doing simple, everyday tasks.
And this brings us right back to that left brain/right brain personality myth. One neuroscientist put it perfectly. They said that calling an artistic person right-brained is just as useless as saying that artistic people have bumpy heads. See the connection? It's the same old pseudoscience, just repackaged for a new century. We've basically just traded the skull bumps for brain hemispheres.
So when you think about it all, from Phineas Gage's accident to the nested dolls inside our skulls, one thing becomes crystal clear. The mind is what the brain does. Our personality, our memories, our entire sense of who we are, it's all tied to this physical organ. Which really leaves us with a final big question for you to chew on. If our biology and our psychology are so deeply intertwined, what does that truly mean for who, or maybe what, you are?